today we have Devashish Patra. So he's my junior in Central Institute of Rajasthan. And hi Devashish.
Hi, hello.
So could you introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, I am Debasish. I did my bachelor's in geology from Utkal University. I'm from
Mm-hmm.
Odisha, in India.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did my master's in atmospheric science. So I shifted my field from geology to atmospheric science.
Mm-hmm.
Up to that, I did a brief. I was briefly in IISER-Mohalli
Mm-hmm.
as a JRF,
Mm-hmm.
where I was working on DWR data assimilation.
Mm-hmm.
While I was working in IISER, I got the chance to apply for this PhD that I'm currently working on.
Mm-hmm.
Ghent University, uh, it's the CLEAR lab. So that's
Mm-hmm.
Climate and Earth lab, and in the Department of Geography.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my PhD started, I think, 2023 September. So just a year, a few months now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just for information, Ghent University in Belgium, right? You
Yes.
missed.
Ghent
So
University,
Ghent
Belgium.
University is
Yes.
in Belgium, and so today we are going to have our podcast in two sections. So you are in Belgium currently doing your PhD.
Mhm.
So it might be interesting to know your journey, how you have reached to this place,
Mhm.
and also it's really important to have the overview of the atmospheric science as a whole. So let's start with the atmospheric science section first. It going to be helpful for the students who are really more into the atmospheric science, meteorology,
Mhm.
and somewhere related to this field, climate science and all.
Mhm.
But in the second part, we are more focusing on how one can apply for the PhD position in abroad and what are the things which keep in mind. And definitely you have something to tell to students so that they can have a bit uh, like they are not going to have that much of a struggle as you faced, so it's going to be helpful. So let's start with the very basic. So my question from you, the very first question is, what is atmospheric science? Can you explain in a in general way?
Um, yeah. So it's a very interdisciplinary and broader science where you have atmospheric physics, atmospheric chemistry, dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
all that. And atmospheric science is basically, if you just define it, it would be the study of the atmosphere, or the science of the atmosphere, like the name suggests. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and but it actually is kind of, the study of the entire atmosphere. So you are studying the atmosphere, you are studying the parts of the atmosphere. So that's basically how the climate is changing, or how, like,
Mm-hmm.
all these different systems that are related to the atmosphere. So yeah, it's a bit of an in-depth study of the atmosphere. Atmospheric science can also be like, you can also think it as study of atmosphere of any planet. So because we are here on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
we study our atmosphere,
Earth
and
atmosphere.
all the idea that we know about, also from extraplanetary atmosphere, the
Mm-hmm.
ideas come from our atmosphere. So that is the, in a gist, what atmospheric science is.
Mm-hmm. True. And you can say something in terms of physics or something like, yeah, we have the atmospheric science is kind of the applied physics, right?
Definitely, yes. Atmospheric science is applied physics, applied chemistry. You can also say like applied mathematics as well, because
Yes.
that's what we are doing. We are solving mathematical equations.
Mm-hmm.
Can I mean, I guess you can also say that, as applied computer science as well, because
Yes,
now you
true,
have
true.
AI, now you have all these different
Yeah,
computer science field that is coming
yeah.
to them. So that's why I said it's an interdisciplinary field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but you have done your bachelor's in geology, and now you have and
Yes.
now you are doing your PhD in atmospheric science, and before that you have done your master's in atmosphere. Why you have chosen the atmospheric science instead of
So,
going somewhere
so
in geology?
it's a bit of a story about around that. So while
Mm-hmm.
I was doing my bachelor's in geology in Odisha, it was,
Mm-hmm.
I think, 2019 when we
Mm-hmm.
had the funny cyclone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it so basically I was in the eye of the cyclone when in the path that the cyclone took.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess from there I had the interest in reading
Mm-hmm.
about this system, uh, how forecasting happens, how you are predicting
Mm-hmm.
if this is the
Yeah.
of the cyclone is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
all these different things.
Yeah, yeah. How
That
this thing works,
is,
yeah.
yeah, that increased my peak into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had in my final year, we had
Mm-hmm.
a discipline specific course, basically called climatology. So I took the discipline specific course because I had interest before that because of the cyclone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was nice. I liked the idea. I liked the entire thing. Also, maybe because I somehow liked physics,
Mm-hmm.
and in my bachelor's, it was basically geology, physics, and chemistry. So
Mm-hmm.
as a geology major, and then physics and chemistry. So I wanted to do something more on physics, and so I switched my field from geology to atmospheric science.
Mm-hmm. But the basic reason is, I would say, the funny cyclone.
The basic reason is surviving
Yeah.
the cyclone, of course.
Yeah, yeah, true. And yeah, so the Odisha is the coastal state,
Odisha
right?
is a cyclone
Yeah.
magnet.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, when you are in track of any of these devastation, and you see once the cyclone has passed, and you see like miles of forests, like acres of forests has been destroyed, all these trees are
Mm-hmm.
destroyed, there is flooding, and all the houses are like roofs are gone away. You kind
Mm-hmm.
of sense the power of nature, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I something that I wanted to study more about it or learn more about it.
Mm-hmm. And we have a cyclone man from the Odisha, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, he's also, I think, the IMD.
Yes,
Yes,
DG.
PG,
Yeah,
yeah.
Director General. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go into the career options. So what would be the career options for the atmospheric science student in India and as well as in abroad?
um in India, especially now that you have actually a lot of career options. You have government institutes, you have the tier one
Mm-hmm.
universities, or institutes like IITs, NITs, IISERs.
Mm-hmm.
You have central universities where
Mm-hmm.
like really good research are being done.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Mm-hmm.
ISC Bangalore. Okay. Apart from that, you also have NCM RWF, which are and IITM, which are
Mm-hmm.
basically only for meteorology.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go into research, if you want to go into like academia, then I
Mm-hmm.
said this is the best options that you have.
Mm-hmm.
If you if you do want to go into industry, then
Mm-hmm.
India, the options are a bit limiting, because
Mm-hmm.
we have not caught up to the market yet,
Mm-hmm.
as in the Western countries.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have opportunities from sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
from think tanks, from
Mm-hmm.
green power,
Mm-hmm.
all these.
Renewable sector.
Yeah, the renewable sector.
Mm-hmm.
You also have there are like you also have good opportunities in
Yeah.
aviation sector,
Yeah.
Air India and
Air
these.
India.
Yeah. And recently I think you also have some, like not big level players, but small players
Mm-hmm.
in forecasting, and in
Mm-hmm.
specialized forecasting as well in India, like these
Mm-hmm.
small startups. So they are also looking for people who have passed from, have experience in this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely.
Also from the insurance companies and risk management.
Yeah, yeah. Insurance and risk management, I think
Mm-hmm.
you also get it from banks sometimes. For
Mm-hmm.
example, if there is a climate sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, you do have from that as well, because I have a colleague, I think, who's working in Standard Chartered something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And now the Swiggy and Zomato is also like
yeah,
some rely
yes.
on the
They're
atmospheric
also,
and yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's atmospheric science, or like, meteor
Mm-hmm.
weather prediction is not just for us, like, not just
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of research, or like
Yeah.
make a publish a paper out of it. It is for the people to,
General public.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is for the general public.
Mm-hmm.
So, so they have to know when it is going to rain, when it is not going to rain.
Mm-hmm.
So in
Yes.
that sense, you also have some field as well in agrometeorology as well. So
Yes. Yes. This is one of the, yeah.
sometimes I think in like, construction parts, and sometimes also in conservation groups and all these.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely it's a budding field. I would not say it's it's not like for example.
I have seen one or two colleagues in Swiggy who's responsible for weather things, because
Yeah,
yeah, because weather is really depends, like people mood is really depends on weather. Like if you
yeah,
are
that's
having,
true.
yeah, if we are
That's
having
true.
the rain,
You will
then we
want
are
you
feeling to
Yeah,
have pakoda and
you,
chai, and it's
you will order
really,
food in.
so yeah, how the Swiggy and Zomato is going to deal with that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it is raining, that you will order food. And also I think like Swiggy, for like Swiggy and Zomato, the important part about weather is that if you have like, if it's a rainy uh, weather, then
Mm-hmm.
mobility kind of
Mm.
decreases, so your speed will decrease. Okay, people like the delivery partners,
Yeah.
they won't ride as fast, because there is
Mm-hmm.
a chance
Mm-hmm.
that you will sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is a chance of waterlogging, so all these things,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
likely,
And it's
because
going to impact the dynamical
it
pricing
is, yeah,
also.
yeah, it is going to
Yeah.
impact the dynamical pricing. And I think like if someone is going to deliver you food in the rain, they
Mm-hmm.
earn some more money.
Yeah. So it's not always about the rain, it's also about the heat waves and cold waves. So
Exactly, so it is, yeah.
how in general how the weather works and how
Yeah,
the
in
weather impact
general,
the people
the
mood.
weather is not only for us, the weather is
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. Everyone feels it, everyone is living in
Yes.
it.
True,
So
true.
yeah,
So this seems like this relates how it's important, the weather and all
yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, like, atmospheric science is very nascent field.
Mm-hmm.
It's not kind of very old field. For example, like, physics, you have
Mm-hmm.
Newton's law from
Mm-hmm.
1800s or
Mm-hmm.
1700s or something, like,
Mm-hmm.
chemistry and all these.
Mm-hmm.
They're very old fields.
Mm-hmm.
Atmospheric science in its, like, the state now it is in its mature state came somewhere in 1960s,
Mm-hmm.
once we have like fast enough computers. So it's still a new field. Plenty of research, like, plenty of things that we don't know yet, plenty of research that is being done,
Mm-hmm.
plenty of ideas that's coming up, and new innovation, new technology, everything. So yeah, this field is definitely growing. And I think that's one of the benefits, that it's all very small community as well. Yeah, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have too many people who are working on weather. It's
Mm.
it's a
Yes.
very small community. There are like handfuls of universities in India where you can where atmospheric science or like climate science is a uh, subject.
Yeah. And nowadays, the climate change is really the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
that is in the news, and it's because of that also the atmospheric
But
science makes a really important
climate
in that.
change, exactly.
Yeah.
Climate change is going to change everything. They'll change the
Yeah.
way we live, the way we breathe, the way
Yeah.
what we eat, what we wear, and all
Mm-hmm.
these things are going
True.
to
True.
be taken into account later when we are preparing, uh, different ideas on a mitigation. Because to be honest, the climate is we don't
Yeah.
know what we are going to see next.
Yeah. And now we have the Delhi air pollution, which is
Yeah, yeah,
recorded
yeah. Yeah.
in
So
the, yeah,
yeah,
worst
so
in the
now
world.
now you have more field into it. So
Yeah.
atmospheric chemistry, how to tackle the this.
Yeah.
You also have they're also doing
Eco-
cloud seeding.
Yeah.
So I don't know, someone may come up with a cloud seeding company to seed
Yes. Yes.
cloud.
True.
Yeah.
True. So we have discussed a lot about this, but I think you can also say something about the opportunity in abroad.
Mhm.
What would
Yeah.
be the opportunity, because you have the experience, right?
Um, Abroad, I think we have, like, you definitely have a lot of opportunities than
Yes, as
as
compared to
compared to
India.
India.
Yeah.
As compared to India, because
Mm-hmm.
first thing first is, and to be honest about it, we do lack resources.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have, we have HPCs, we have
Mm-hmm.
supercomputers,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have like exascale supercomputers, or like the
Yes.
fastest supercomputers, all these things.
Mm-hmm. True.
The secondly, what we don't have is, we don't have in India, you don't get like these companies which are independently doing weather forecast. For example, you have
Mm,
Indy, you have AccuWeather, you have, all these different things are available abroad. But then also, if you look, if you're just looking at India, you're just looking at one country.
mhm,
You're looking outside, then you're looking at like 150, 160 countries. So obviously you'll have
mhm,
more things there to do and more opportunities there,
mhm,
So yeah, definitely, if you are looking abroad, you have more opportunities, you have more uh, kind of experience as well, you have more
mm.
resources. Yeah. So
Yeah. So everything is workarounds, the resources and all.
yeah,
So we
everything.
have,
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
uh, it- obviously, resources and infrastructure is the
yeah,
biggest thing. So if you
yeah.
are, there are like certain countries which are the peak for this research, like US, UK. You have NOAA. In US alone, you have NOAA and NCAR, UCAR. Okay, you have NSSL. You have like all these different lots of things. And now also you have NVIDIA who is doing weather prediction. You have also have Google
Mm-hmm,
doing weather prediction.
mm-hmm,
You also have all these AI companies who are doing weather prediction. Then
mm-hmm,
uh, like you go to UK, you have UK Met Office,
mm-hmm,
ECMWF, Meteor France,
mm,
all these different in institutes. Obviously, uh,
yeah,
you have all this, and if you are just looking into India, you do lack you
yeah.
certain
But
number.
still we have NCMR, WF, IITM
Yeah,
Pune,
definitely we do have.
yeah, SC Bangalore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we do have, and I think IITM is doing very good research.
Mm-hmm.
In part they
In
are part of
tropical
Codex.
meteorology, yeah.
They are part of Codex. They are part of ICTP as well. So
Mm-hmm.
they're
Yeah.
actually an international organization,
Yes.
and NCMRWF is uh, yeah, like
Mm.
they run the weather.
Yeah, they also provide the reanalysis data as the
Yeah,
ACMWF.
yeah,
So it will be.
we have the IMDA data from
Mm-hmm.
NCMRWF.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, coming to your experience, what you have worked in IISER-Mohalli, right? So you have worked there. So could you explain a bit about your work, what you have done in
Yes.
IISER-Mohalli?
So in ISER, what I joined as a JRF, and the
Junior research fellow,
yeah,
yeah.
junior research fellow, and the project was on data assimilation of
Mm-hmm.
radar data assimilation with
Mm-hmm.
3D VAR, 4D VAR, and
Mm-hmm.
also Kalman filter
Mm-hmm.
into WRF basically,
Mm-hmm.
and especially on the northwestern area, right? So northwestern states, so Punjab, Haryana, Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
Rajasthan, because like why this area? First thing is because yeah, Mohali is in the northwest, so you have to look at the regional area first, and
Mm-hmm.
also I think uh, we like it is really challenging to give predictions in
Mm-hmm.
mountainous terrain in
Mm-hmm.
Himachal, Uttarakhand. So having a model which is doing something like the American HRRR does, so that's high resolution rapid refresh. So
Mm-hmm.
they're using a Kalman, like I don't remember if it's a Kalman filter or a 4D bar. So basically what it does is it does data assimilation rapidly, and that
Yeah.
increases the forecast basically, or
Yeah.
forecast accuracy.
Just for general information to the audience who don't aware about the data assimilation, so could you explain the bit
Yes.
in the general way?
So what data assimilation basically is so I think if you look at it this way, you have a
Mm-hmm.
model, and the model
Mm-hmm.
gives you an output. But
Mm-hmm.
because you are taking, like initializing the model with the data that you have now,
Mm-hmm.
want to get a forecast that is going to be after like one day, or
After,
yeah,
yeah,
after few after few hours, even like
yeah,
24
PR
hours or
6 months,
72
yeah.
hours,
Mm-hmm.
with whatever lead time you use anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen is, because of like this the approximations in the data, or the
Mm-hmm.
approximations in the initialization, or the approximation with the parameterization, and all these
Mm-hmm.
small errors will creep up and become large. So
Yeah,
what is happening is your model forecast is going for, like away from the uh, original,
reality.
or like reality. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we do is, like so what we do is uh, we did a forecast now. After a few hours, we do another forecast, but
Mm-hmm.
we take the observation of the previous forecast and we add
Mm-hmm.
there. So
Mm.
basically what we do is we try to calculate statistics to reduce this error bias, and so that we
Yes.
have a much better forecast when, next. So that's why we do uh, rapidly refresh the forecast basically.
Mm. Yes. So you have done data assimilation with radar with radar
Yes.
data, right?
Yeah.
But it was something what you have done in MSc thesis, or in your MSc thesis you have
No.
done something different?
No, in my master's thesis, what I did is basically WRF elect. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
was a new model back then
Mm-hmm.
for prediction of lightning, and
Mm-hmm.
I chose my home state, Odisha, because it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the hotspot of lightning, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it is also the largest mortality rate for lightning, and we use the model there to do simulations and do some
Mm-hmm.
sensitivity experiments and some more simulations on certain events over
Mm-hmm.
uh, to find how how the original or like normal WRF WRF is working and how the
Mm-hmm.
electrification version of WRF is working. So
Yeah,
what is
and
the
charge
difference between them?
distribution and
Yeah.
all.
So yeah,
Yeah.
because it has a extra package of
Yeah.
lightning
Extra
prediction.
package which gives the simulation of lightning and charge distribution of lightning
Yes, yes, yes,
explicitly,
yes.
right?
So it has extra parameterization for
Yes.
lightning forecast basically, because what WRF normally does is it does lightning in a diagnostic way. This does lightning
Yes.
in a more of a like prognostic way and solving the equation
Mm-hmm.
actually. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something more explicitly towards the
yes,
lightning
yeah,
only
yeah.
because
So
yeah.
we were testing that how it works here, and we have submitted a paper. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So how you got the chance to work in IISER-Mohalli just after your MSc thesis, or you have done something in
No,
between?
I
Or
was after my master's. I was well, I was working in my school in my alma mater for like 2 months. So
mm-hmm.
I was at home. I was doing nothing, and I was
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Somebody reached out. Do you want to teach geography? And I was like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have free time now, so so I taught 2-3 months in the school where I studied, like passed my 10th grade from, and
Mm-hmm.
then I joined a private university in Odisha, in
Mm-hmm.
Bhubaneswar,
Mm-hmm.
ITR. And I
ITR.
yeah, and I worked there as a research assistant, basically,
Mm-hmm.
PhD students, because I
Mm-hmm.
had good, I would say, or like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
experience with WRF, and they are mainly
Mm-hmm.
going to use WRF. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was my first kind of job, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
while I
And
was
after that, yeah.
yeah, yeah, while I was there, I got chances to uh, do data collection from the met
Mm-hmm.
like stations from like physical data collection. So these are not automatic stations.
Yeah, manually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
manual data collection, and you learn a
Mm-hmm.
lot how the data is collected, how you're
Mm-hmm.
doing error bias and all these things. So that was a very good learning experience from
Mm-hmm.
there. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I was there, I got the opportunity to and gave an uh, interview at IISER,
Mm-hmm.
and I got the posting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. But you only have applied for IISER-Mohalli, or you also have applied for the other position which you have
By that
interviewed,
time,
or?
I was applying abroad as well,
Mm-hmm.
and also
Mm-hmm.
in India. So I
Mm-hmm.
applied to, I think in India, I only applied to IISER-Mohalli.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Okay, so you have net or gate also, or you don't have the net
no,
gate?
I do not have net and gate.
So
Yeah.
how important the net gate is if someone wants to have career in a
Uh,
research
if
in India?
if you want to do a career in research in India, then net and get is very important for you. You
Okay.
if you are not if, you have to have net and gate, because that's how you get paid. But I think you can
Mm-hmm.
also do research in central universities and other places where
Mm-hmm.
there is a bit of a leniency if you are if
Yeah.
you have have the net or gate qualification or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for net, you can also, you can have, the earth science net, but you can also have the
Mm-hmm.
environmental science net.
CSIR, yeah.
So it's,
CSIR and
you can be
UGC, yeah.
CSIR or UGC net. You can
Mm-hmm.
also have the iCar net if you want.
Mm. Yes,
So,
that's the totally different to what you have to do, yeah.
but yeah,
So,
you can still have that.
yeah. So my question is how you got placed in IISER-Mohalli because you have not net and gate and you worked as a JRF.
I
So I know the reason, but that might be the question for the that might be the question for the other students. So just wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, I think because I mean, you will uh, if you, even if you have an a gate or net, you have to know the
Mm-hmm.
work. So I had the known the work, I know the work experience, and I think that was the biggest impression, like, so that means that I can do the work, and I have done the work, and I'm already doing this.
True,
So I think that was
true.
the reason.
The skill and all thing is
Yeah,
really matter what
definitely
you
your
have,
skill will
and
always
yeah.
matter. Your skill will always
Yeah, and it's really important what you have done in your MSc thesis, which really tells
Yes,
what
yeah.
your
So
abilities.
your first
Yeah.
skill basically is your master's thesis. Well, technically, your first skill is basically your minor thesis.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yes, and I would say also the internship,
yeah,
if one
definitely,
can
yeah,
have the
definitely.
opportunity to,
Well,
yeah.
we did not get much chance for internship because COVID batch and all. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you was from the COVID batch, yeah.
yeah.
You
So
was from next to my batch,
2020,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So 2020 to 2022, and it was
yeah.
COVID batch. So in the first year we did not get much. Like there was no chance for
Mm.
uh internship. Yeah.
Yes, and there is also the one thing which is depending on the project in which you are applying, right? So there are some project where clearly written that the student must have, or the
Yes.
aspirant must have the NET or GATE
Yeah.
qualified, and there some leniency in the project. It might be the possibility that the project is funded from international organization, but
Yes.
sometimes it's also possible to have the funded from the government of India and also have the opportunity
True. True.
to go
So
without net and gate. Yeah.
I think that also depends upon the the PI. That also depends
Mm-hmm.
upon the PI, if like how important they think net and gate is for someone's
Mm-hmm.
like to quantify some, if someone is good enough. Yeah, I think that
Mm-hmm.
solely depends upon the PI. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
there can be leniency.
Okay. So what you are doing in your PhD right now?
So my PhD is
Yeah.
basically
So
microphysics
yeah.
development. Yeah, so my PhD is basically
Mm-hmm.
development of microphysics, and we have the
Mm-hmm.
Belgian model. It's the Alaro model, and my work is
Laro.
to, yeah, it's part of Arom Alaro. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the basically the Arpege, Aladdin, and Arom model. So it's the same family of models, but with different physics scores. And my work is basically to upgrade the microphysics scheme from a single moment to double moment, and
Mm-hmm.
also to use it over tropical areas. So at the moment, the model is only used uh, in Europe, and we are going to use it in the tropical area. And yeah, so that's part of
So
my.
what's the tropical area means?
So my work, the domains are in Amazon, Darwin. So you have
Mm-hmm.
like these two domains are very contrasting. So Amazon rainforest is,
So Amazon and Darwin, it all comes near the tropical region and
yes,
also
yes.
comes into the South American continent, right?
Yeah, they're in the they're in the South American and Australia. Darwin in
Okay,
Australia.
Darwin is in Australia.
Yes.
Okay.
So they are in the southern hemisphere, true.
They both are
But
in southern hemisphere.
they both are in southern hemisphere, and
Mm-hmm.
they are both in the tropical region, tropical zone.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
difference basically is that you have one continental type of tropical atmosphere, okay,
Mm-hmm.
also continental rainforest,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is Darwin is very close to the sea, so you have
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Kind of island, I would say.
no, it's not island. It's on the coast of Australia. So it's on the
Okay,
northwest
coastal
coast.
region.
Yeah, it's on the
Mm-hmm.
northwest coast of Australia. So you have,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, different dynamics, different
Yes,
physics at play,
definitely.
and a different type of, so the heating is different.
Mm-hmm.
all these different microphysics, radiation, everything is
Mm-hmm.
different for these two different domains. And then there
Mm-hmm.
is the third domain, which is Ethiopia. So
Mm-hmm.
that is
The
also,
African.
yeah, that is in Africa, also a continental, but very dry and
Mm-hmm.
arid. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, we are looking into these three
Mm-hmm.
regions so that we have a better representation of tropical areas. Yeah.
So what the microphysics is?
Uh, the
What's
the
the microphysics?
microphysics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Yes. What is the microphysics?
like? Do you want me to explain what microphysics is, or the microphysics?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So microphysics is a component of the model that handles the
Mm-hmm.
interaction between different particles, basically different particles in the cloud. So how your the cloud drop, water vapor, hail, gropel, ice,
Mm-hmm.
how they're interacting with each other. How how hail is becoming water, or how gropel is solidifying into hail, and how
Mm-hmm.
water is becoming snow. All this is
Mm-hmm.
taken care by the microphysics of the model, basically. So you have all these fluxes in the microphysics, and these fluxes gives you the rain in the model. So you have like in the models you have two rains. One is coming from the dynamics, which is the cumulus rain. Other comes
Mm-hmm.
from microphysics.
Mm-hmm.
So these are yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, how the microphysics plays a role in the weather and the climate as a whole in general, because you have the three different type of conditions. One is the continental, another one is the dry, again
Yeah.
continental, but another one is the coastal area. So, how it's impact?
I don't think, like, you cannot quantify how microphysics impact this, because
Mm,
microphysics is basically an approximation that we are taking.
mm,
So it's basically an approximation that we think is happening in the model, in the atmosphere, and something that we can replicate in with equations. Okay. So
mm.
these things are happening everywhere. uh,
Yes.
like in the atmosphere. This is just a way how you want to simplify it, how you want to replicate it. And we do rigorous testing from ground-based
Observations.
observations. And
Yeah.
to know, for example, we use this drometer, we use a radar, we use the profilers and all this to know uh, how these particles are, like what is the combination in a cloud, and we try to replicate that basically in the model. So that is microphysics.
Mm-hmm. So, it's also something related to microphysics with your MSc work, or
Yes, definitely. So
mm,
definitely, because my MSc work is on
something
lightning,
about lightning.
and
Yeah.
yeah, about lightning, and lightning is heavily dependent on gropal and hail. So
Mm,
you have to have a microphysics that has gropal, hail, and ice, because these are the charging particles to have lightning. So yeah, but also you can have lightning as also dynamic part as well, because you have updrafts, and those updrafts carry your moisture into the atmosphere. So yeah, lightning comes very is a very complex phenomenon, which is
mm-hmm.
part of both microphysics and updraft. So you have
Mm-hmm.
different schemes that are resolving lightning differently. For example, the PR scheme is kind of mostly particle velocity
Mm-hmm.
updraft centered, and the elec is on microphysics. So yeah.
So currently you are working as a, like, you are a PhD researcher in uh, Ghent University,
Yeah.
and but you are also the part of Royal Meteorological Institute,
Yes.
RMI,
Yes.
of Belgium. So
Yes.
could you explain me a bit how it works?
uh, so because my work needs a lot of collaboration, I
Mm-hmm.
need to run the model in the ECMWF,
Mm-hmm.
the supercomputers, to have
Mm-hmm.
access to those.
So can you make a full name of ECMWF?
European Center for Medium Range
Yeah.
Weather Forecast. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a huge computer called, I think the vendor is Atos. It's in
Mm-hmm.
Bologna,
Mm-hmm.
where they run the IFS model. So that's the ECMWF model. And
Mm-hmm.
to work on that computer, you need to be part of a registered MET service. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm working also as a intern in the
Mm-hmm.
RMI. So that's the Royal Institute of Meteorology.
Yeah. So that's the part of your PhD, right?
Yes, that is part of my PhD. That opens up a lot of uh, you know mm, collaboration, lot of
Collaboration, yeah.
yeah, also a lot of just knowing a lot of people who are in
Yeah.
the field. So
And
I'm part of the Accord Consortium, Accord All
mhm,
Staff Consortium. So
yeah.
yeah,
And you also have to teach students.
yes, as part of
You have to take the
PhD,
classes and all.
as part of my PhD, yes, I do help as a TA to my supervisors, like in the different courses, and also I am co-supervisor of few
Mhm,
master students for their masters and bachelor thesis as well. So yeah.
mhm. So how the work is there, like how the challenges and all?
Well, to like, I mean, to do anything new would be like obviously challenge. And
Mhm,
this model was never run anywhere apart from Europe. So I'm running it for the first time
mhm,
on an entirely different continent, entirely
mhm,
different physics, like entire three different continents and entire different physics and different climate basically. So yeah,
mhm,
of course we have some kind of issues where which I am basically now trying to solve. Like for example,
mhm.
sometimes you get snow sometimes you get snow in the rainforest, sometimes you get ice in the rainforest. So yeah,
Yeah.
this kind of things happen in a model when you are testing, when you are testing the uh, new microphysics, or like you are testing a new piece of code. So obviously there will be bugs, and yeah.
Yeah.
So currently,
So
yeah,
yeah, the PhD is all about the new things. Then every time you have to learn, and every time you have to fail, and after
definitely,
that you are going to have something. Yeah.
definitely,
So it's
definitely,
really
yeah.
the roller coaster thing.
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying something new, then because you don't know how to do it,
Yeah.
right, you will always fail. So failures should become like, you should know that you would fail. And
Yeah.
the
Sometimes it's frustrating.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It is definitely frustrating. I think they call it the Murphy's Law. So I think I follow that, and I am really uh, aware of that. If something is like, if something can fail, will fail, and you should take that as an assumption from the beginning that something can fail and that
Yes.
will fail definitely. And
Mm.
I think that sometimes that helps a lot, that you are not getting demotivated, because there would be a lot of bugs when you are doing something new, especially with coding.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you have you are teaching. So how the teaching and all things is working there? Like you have to take the classes on daily basis, or you have to take the classes
No,
on
no, no,
weekly
no.
basis?
It's basically classes like weekly, like in a
Okay, weekly you have to take a 1 hour class, right? Or 2 hours?
yeah, basically assist my supervisor in taking
Okay.
class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
also you are guiding some of the master and bachelor students for their
yes,
master and MSc thesis, and
yes.
also kind of the seminar work or something like this.
We do kind of I mean, it's what we call is like a weekly catch up. So we
Mhm.
meet the master thesis students and the
Mhm.
bachelor thesis student. We meet them every week, and especially
Mhm.
on Friday. So and we discuss like what their bottlenecks were, what their issues are. So so that you can give them a better feedback.
So
Yeah.
how difficult it is to balance, and or it is very easy to have the balance
So
between all these research and teaching thing?
I think it's a part of your work, because I want to be in academia, so I have to teach,
Mhm.
if not
At
now,
some point,
sometimes
yeah.
later, and that is always a good experience to gain,
Mhm.
teaching.
True.
I mean, you can be a brilliant scientist, but you cannot be, there are brilliant scientists who are not very good teachers.
Yeah, very good teacher, yeah.
Yeah, and there are like very good teachers who are not amazingly
Um,
brilliant scientists.
yes,
So
yes.
teaching is a skill that you have to pick up, you have to learn.
Mm,
And I think this is really helping. But yeah, the good part about the master's students is that we try to give the master thesis, which is which can be tailored, or which can be a part of my PhD thesis, right?
mm,
So it's like my PhD thesis is the main branch. So main trunk.
mm.
Their master's thesis is just a branch of it. So it's like something that I wanted to do, but I would not have time to look
Yes.
around it, and so it's also a very good idea to look about it. And so I
Mm,
I need to a master student to look into it.
yes.
Basically that. It's
Yeah.
it's basically
It's
handling the
always good to have some, yeah.
yeah, delegation.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, yes. For example, like my in
Yes. So
Amazon.
yeah.
Yeah. So in Amazon, my domain.
Sorry,
So for
in
example,
Amazon. Yeah.
yeah, in the Amazon rainforest, my domain is within my domain
Mm-hmm.
is a place called Manaus. It's a city, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a city of 2 million people smacked inside the rainforest. And I wanted to know how the rainforest is interacting with this urban area, because that is going to take into account into the
Mm-hmm.
physics, because we know that cities impact rain,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
movement of cloud and
Yes.
that. So I wanted to see
Yeah.
how
Yeah. Yeah.
this how the this huge city is impacting this rainforest. And
Mm-hmm.
so but that is something that is entirely different from my work, and I did not want to spend more time to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a master student who is looking into that basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always good to have someone who's maybe working in what you are thinking, because the PhD is all about what you are doing is
yeah,
about what your professor thinks, but the master students is something working under you. It means what you are thinking, that's going to be worked by the masters or bachelor students.
yeah, yeah,
It's the same what
yeah.
I am also doing. So you also have the experience teaching or guiding a master students in India. Do you have
Yes,
experience?
no, I don't have experience teaching, but I was helping PhD students in India. So right before my career, right? So yeah, I would not say I was teaching them, but yeah, I was helping them with technicalities in WRF, basically.
Yes, yes.
Yes, because
So I know
yeah, because
that. I
atmospheric
know
science.
that what you are saying. So, so do you, okay, so you don't have the experience, teaching experience, or you don't have the experience guiding a master student or somewhat in India. So I think I can't ask you that how different the teaching or guiding a master student in India as well as in
Well, I
abroad.
can give like limited insights. I don't know entirely because
Mm-hmm.
I never taught, but I was taught in India. I was a
Mm-hmm.
student in India, so I
Mm-hmm.
can give like limited idea. But the syllabus and this is bit stricter in India. Attendance and all these things are a bit very strict in India. Here, things are very fluid. So, if you are, for example, if you want to drop out of a course, then you can technically take the course next year, and that won't be reflected in your certificate. But if you are doing that in India, you are going to have a something that says in your certificate that you drop out.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, this is one thing, but yeah, so in India you have to finish your masters in 2 years, but here in Germany there is no any
yeah,
limitation
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely there is a limitation for, but it's not the 2 years. It may be the 4 years, or it depends on the university to university. It might
yeah,
be the
yeah,
6 years. So
yeah.
I think it's same in the Belgium, right?
I think it's somewhat similar like that. So
Yeah.
if you want
So
to, yeah,
yeah. So this is something different what I was asking. So I was asking about the experience with the master students interaction in India as well as in abroad. So I have the experience. It's really different.
yeah,
So in India, if you are asking to master students, then they are going to like you are asking for a work, then they are going to rely on you. They are going to again come back to you and say like I didn't reach, or I didn't come across this. I have, you please tell me how to do that, and kind of these things. But here in Germany or here in like in general in Europe, if you are asking a master students or bachelor student to doing something, they are doing anyhow. They are going to come you with the result. If they are not going to come you with the result, then they are definitely have the reasonable or sensible reason, and definitely you also have to think on that reason what they are going to do. So that's the really huge difference, that the mindset between the Europeans and between the Indians. So that's what I can say based on my
yeah. I would
experience.
agree and somewhat also disagree with that, because
Mhm.
we have well some students as well in IISER, so
Yes,
who are
yes, I
really.
also agree
So
with this.
you always
Yeah,
have like the good students and the slackers in every place.
yeah,
Depends
yeah,
on like on your luck which student you got as a master
yeah,
student. Because last
yes.
year I had a master student, and he was I had to really spoon feed him almost everything. So
True, but
yeah,
I really didn't have that student kind of spoon feeding what you are saying in Europe.
yes,
I had around 5 to 6. I got the opportunity to 5 to 6,
mhm.
to guiding to 5 to 6 master or bachelor students. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had one student last year who we really had to spoon feed, but also so it's a bit of a like kind of a in an odd sense here is because most of my students who are doing under like in a masters don't really have a background in atmospheric
Mm,
science, or
that's
they don't have a
that's the one
background
worry.
in meteorology, or like or even in physics, because I'm working in the department of geography. They are environmental science students, they are geography students, and they want to do in climate science, because you know and if you are in climate science, then you have to know some certain things. You have to know these programs like Python,
Yes.
R, or CDO, and all these different things. And yeah, sometimes learning those new skills can be difficult uh, to some for some, and that in that sense you have to teach them. But yeah, if someone is from a physics, if there are master students from physics background, which we also had master students who are from physics background, they were really easy to do that,
Yeah,
because
teacher and all. Yeah.
they did not need that much information, because they already had that. So
Hmm.
that is that is a point that
Yeah. So I think we are done with the section one. I think let's go in more deep with your experience of applying here in abroad for the PhD position.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the first question is, when did you think to go with the PhD position in abroad? The very first time.
Well, I mean, to get a PhD, I think the moment I started doing my masters, I wanted to do a PhD. That was the
Yeah.
end goal. Get
Mm-hmm.
a PhD, be a scientist. That's the end goal. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely proactively applying abroad started somewhere like 4 months, 4 months before I finished my masters. So the last 4 months of my master's degree,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I was actively looking into like these different job opportunities to apply
Mm-hmm.
to. Yeah.
So what was the motivation? So earlier you was not thinking about the applying in abroad. You was thinking somewhere in
Well,
India as well.
no,
But
earlier my motivation was mainly to to know everything. I think you cannot know what your field is. It's like for
mm,
example, my field
mhm,
is microphysics. My field is modeling, and I will
mhm,
do microphysics and I will do modeling. But
mhm,
there are people who went into climatology. There are people who are very keen on atmospheric chemistry, right?
mhm.
And like when you are in the beginning of your master's thesis, sorry, master's like
Yeah, course. Yeah.
master course,
Mhm,
you don't really have an entire idea of
mhm,
which is your field and what you want to do, right?
mhm,
You might feel today, you might feel, oh, yeah, dynamics is cool, or like oceanography is cool, but then
mhm,
the
mhm,
next day you feel like, yeah, okay, climate science is cool, and then
mhm.
yeah, so you're working from there. So basically are starting from scratch. You have no idea of anything. I think that's why at least you should have give yourself 3 semesters in India to know the field, to know what you are getting yourself into, and then come out. Like, do I want to do a master's? Do I want to do a PhD? Do I want to go for another master's? Whatever, because like if you are doing a PhD, I would suggest that you want to do it because you want to do it, and not because you
Yes.
just got it.
Yeah. And
So
you
yeah,
landed with the lightning and thunderstorm with
yeah, yeah.
in the same research group in which I was working.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, like installing warp, and I always was like well, good at programming since my
Mm-hmm.
10th grade. So
Mm-hmm.
then I left programming for 11th and 12th, and yeah, I always wanted to do, but I still used a Linux PC. So I was very
Mm-hmm.
much into Linux environment, because my like Windows is expensive. Or at the
So
time it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where did you find the advertisement
uh,
or
for my PhD in med jobs. So
med
I
jobs?
think everyone
Yeah.
basically gets it from med
So for the
jobs.
atmospheric science is really the med jobs.
Yeah,
But do you have any other platform in your
I
mind?
think I think the other platform is basically, I think there is a website called Find a PhD or something, or like
Mm-hmm.
academic uh, something, academic school or something. I don't remember the website. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Academic jobs or something. You can find
Mm-hmm.
it, search it with a, like it's an easy Google search, and yeah, but I
Yeah.
apart from med jobs for atmospheric science and climate science, I think the best way to find job is just, if you have a university, you have a professor, you have a scientist in mind,
Yeah.
write to them
Yeah.
and hope they have
Read
a,
the research papers
yeah,
somewhere related to your MSc
right.
thesis, and
Yeah.
definitely in your
Yeah, I
MSc
mean,
thesis,
obviously
you
different.
are.
I mean, definitely related to your MSc thesis. It's okay if you are going for a new field as well. But because
Mhm.
most of the skill that you learn in a master's degree in atmospheric science,
Mhm.
it can be taken from, like, for example, if you are doing in modeling, it's the same thing. It's the code,
Mhm.
it's the understanding of the model. You can still apply it in a different field as well. So it doesn't have to be, you know but it is always nice that you are applying to things that you already know, because that's what the supervisor wants, that's what your future PI would look for, so that you already have
Mhm.
some skills. I mean, PhD is to
Mhm.
develop skills, of course, but if if you are starting from scratch, then that's a
Yeah.
downside. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have not, I definitely you don't have only applied for the Belgium, you also have applied for the other
Yes, I applied
countries.
for other places as well. Yeah, I applied to, like, I sent, like, cold emails to some professors, because
Mhm.
I wanted to do mostly in microphysics, something in rain and something in, or in lightning. And this field is kind of very niche, and you don't get a lot of positions in, like, model development especially. Uh, so in the meantime, I was I was sending mails to all these different top people, Morrison, Milbrand, uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, I sent cold mails to them, the people who basically started microphysics. And
Really top,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, they're
the
like
top
the
scientist in that
godfathers.
field. Yeah. Yeah, I know
Not
the
use the
name.
term, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So how difficult was to applying the position, PhD position in abroad from India?
I think it is not too difficult. You're just sending mail, or you're just sending you're applying it uh, on a website from the university. So it's not very difficult. But
Yeah. The difficulty not
the
sense in the
difficulty
applying
comes
sense.
the difficulty comes when you're, like, with your
Yes,
motivation letter, with your CV and
yes,
all that
yes,
thing. So
yes.
that, yeah,
That's so coming to the CV. So can you explain me in the detail how the CV looks like based on your experience and
yeah,
how it can be improved?
I think the best CV is, like, a very plain CV. Is no
Mm-hmm.
photographs, no design, no colors and all that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what, like, an academic CV should be. No one is going to look at your photo and pick you. So you're like, if you're applying abroad, then I think your 10th 12th grade is not important. Your BSc is even not important. So maybe include your BSc and your masters. So last two degrees, basically, your grades in the last two degrees. Your work experience comes next. So if you are a JRF,
Mm-hmm.
if you are a if you, even if you did some internship as well, so
Mm-hmm.
all these different things. And then if I think what comes is basically your skills. So if you have model, like, war for MPAS, or any RECM, any model, okay, or like your languages proficiency. So not just computer languages, but also English proficiency, and
Mm-hmm.
Python, MATLAB, R, all these different programming languages, NCL, etc. So if you know them, you can mention them. Also, it is I think you should also mention Bash, because you would most likely be using a Linux system. So Bash script,
Mm-hmm.
using a Linux operating system. Uh, then data visualization is a very important this,
Mm-hmm.
and also because we handle, like, large amount of data, like
Yeah, plenty
terabytes
of
of
data.
data.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that is also an important skill that should be mentioned. Lastly, I would say what you should mention is basically, because you are going to start as a PhD,
Mm-hmm.
you should definitely mention your the field that you want, the fields that you like. For example, do you like boundary layer meteorology? Do you like you know mm,
Your interest,
yeah,
research
basically
interests.
your research interest, your fields. Do you like
Mm-hmm.
microphysics? Do you like dynamics? Do you like boundary layer? Do you like chemistry? All these different things. And then lastly is basically your publications. It's good if you have some publications, you know or if you have been to some workshops or somewhere you have presented somewhere. So yeah, you can include them as well. And lastly is references. So that is
Yeah, references.
that is what your
And
CV
if you
should
have
be.
any publication,
Yeah, if you have any
if you have
public.
any publication, then it's good to have the mention. It's good to have the mention them. And also, if you don't have the publication, but it's in the process, then you can also
Definitely,
write.
you can
Uh,
still write like in process, but yeah, I don't usually write that because
yeah.
yeah,
And if you have any workshop and conference experience, then definitely
definitely.
it's going to be
Yeah,
also the point to
yeah,
add.
that gives you a much important I like the PI an idea
Mm,
that okay, what this person wants, what this person likes, where you
mm,
want to go, and yeah.
mhm. And what about the cover letter, how it works and
But
what should
your
be?
cover letter should be a very personal letter, I would say.
Mm,
You know, it depends. So my cover letter can be your cover letter. There is
mm.
no, I don't think so. There is a like
Kind of
yeah, like a head
pattern or
first rule.
something, or
Yeah,
kind of
or like a
format, there
yeah.
not
I
should be
don't think so.
there.
There is like a format or like a rule that you have to write like this. I mean, for a
Mm,
CV, you have like a format
mhm,
for resume,
mhm,
but yeah, I don't think so. There is a format for this. I think the
mhm,
best part of the cover letter, that's why it is to
mhm,
basically show how genuinely interested you are in the project, or like how genuinely interested you are in the field, basically.
mm,
Yeah. So like tell you about your experience, tell why you want to go there, tell
mm,
like because if you are applying to certain professors, then the best thing is that you should have read their papers. Okay,
mm.
why do you choose them, why do you choose the
Yes.
university, why do you choose the lab specifically? Okay,
Mm,
like what experience do the what experience you think the
mm,
lab has. So
mm.
for example, in my mm, cover letter,
Lab, yeah.
yeah, my cover letter, my
Mm,
supervisor, his name is Quinton van Weverberg, and he
mm,
was a scientist, like in his senior scientist in UK Met
mm,
Office,
mhm,
microphysics development for the UK modified, unified model. So he is a microphysics developer, and so I want to do microphysics. He has developed the I think the cold phase microphysics for the models, and also the rain microphysics, you know.
mm,
And I wanted to do that, so I read his papers. I would went on a deep dive about
mm,
what he did, about
mhm,
what his work,
mhm,
and that's what you explain in your cover letter.
mm,
This is this is what I can do. This is what I have done. This is what I want to do. This is why I
mm,
want to do with you.
mm,
This is what I think will get from you. Okay,
mm,
because in Europe you think, or like abroad you like the relationship between a PI and a PhD student comes like it's two-way. You are learning from the person, so you
mm.
know what you want to learn from them.
True, and you are also going to have the same, you are also going to have the priority wise as in front of your professor. You are not treating as a student. Definitely, you are not a student in Europe. You are you are working as an employee, so you are the
Yeah,
treated
definitely.
equivalent as the professor. And because you
Yeah,
are working
you
there
are
as a scientist, not
you're
like a
not you are
student.
not a student, you are a
Yeah.
colleague.
Yes, colleague.
Yeah.
True.
So
Yes.
yeah, it's exactly same if you are like also working in any if you are working in NCMWF, or if you are working
Mm.
in UK Met Office, you will have a manager who you report to, but he's
Yes,
also your
it's the
colleague.
same.
Right, yes.
So how many position did you have applied?
Like if you don't count all the cold mails that I sent, which if I count is going to be like around hundreds. Most of them
Mm,
I did not get any reply because
mm,
I have like I sent mails to these top people. Some of them were retired. Like I sent
mm,
mail to Berlin, and he said like I'm not I am retired. Okay, Berlin is the one who I think he's in Israel, and he made the LPI lightning. Okay, so and he as a emeritus professor, he does not have funding. Okay, I also have sent mail to NSSL, to the people
mm.
who developed the the
Yeah, yeah, I
Slack,
know, I know.
yeah. So Ted Mansell, and Ted
Mm,
also replied that I don't have funding at the moment, so I'm really sorry, but yeah. So that happens, and you have to send like these mails because you know. But
So the yeah.
the places where I applied to is, I think, 5 positions that I applied to. The first one I remember was my first interview. I applied to
Mm,
University of Innsbruck. It was also on
mm,
thunderstorm and lightning. Uh,
mm,
I was very close to get that, but yeah. Uh, then I applied to maybe like, I think, Hamburg or
mm,
uh, in Mainz, and I think Oslo as well, and then
mm,
to LMU
mm,
and Ghent. Yeah.
yeah.
So basically
Mm,
4 or 5. Oh yeah, I also applied to Hawaii, Texas A&M, and Hawaii universities. Yeah.
mm. So, but you don't have the much experience with the different countries, so I can't ask you. So, do you have the experience with the English speaking and non-English speaking countries? So, how it deal with the
I
uh,
think
PhD position and all?
yes. So if you are applying to US, and if
Mm,
you're applying to UK, if you're applying
mm.
to certain positions in Canada and Australia and
Canada,
New
Australia,
Zealand,
New Zealand, yeah.
you definitely need GRE or like,
TOEFL and IELTS.
TOEFL and IELTS. Yeah.
Mm,
These English proficiency scores.
mm,
I think
mm,
some universities in Norway also want you to have the this English proficiency, but
mm,
like most universities in France, Spain, Belgium, Austria, Germany, Netherlands, like top universities in Netherlands, I think ETH Zurich, I think, yeah, they also need English proficiency.
mm.
So yeah,
At
like,
some extent, they want, yeah.
yeah, so again, it comes down to the supervisor as well. So
Mm,
like, you get also had that you have to have an English proficiency, because of course you have to talk to people in English. If you don't know English, you can't talk.
yes.
You have to write in English, you have to communicate in English. You are writing your paper in English.
Yep.
But there was no such exam. So I think, your supervisor can evaluate if you know English, if you can speak, write, and read English in the interview round itself. So
Mm.
yeah.
And it also might be the possibility to you are going to have the position in US, New Zealand, Australia
Yeah,
without having the IELTS and TOEFL. It's
exactly.
really
Yes, yes,
depend
yes.
on the
So
university and the
yeah,
professor.
definitely it
Yeah.
depends upon the like professor, and it depends upon the university. It depends upon it actually depends upon the PI here. Most of the things depends upon the PI in Europe. So
Uh,
yeah.
So let's add some more leverage on the PhD position in abroad. So as you have the experience of going in the workshop and conferences, right? So maybe I can ask you something regarding the workshop and conference. So how it works, or do you have like you have the experience with multiple conferences? So can you explain me a bit
Yes,
about?
I have been to like few conferences and workshops. So uh, I went to the like workshop in ICTP, which was
Mhm.
funded. So ICTP,
So
yeah,
yeah, you can also take the name of the country while saying.
yes, ICTP in Italy. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
ICTP in Italy. It's in Trieste. So it's the International Center for Theoretical Physics.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I went for the Codex conference there.
Mm-hmm.
Very big at the start of my PhD.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good understanding of what all these different models are in work in Europe. And I went to the conference after 15 days of joining my PhD. So
Mm-hmm.
it was entirely funded by ICTP. Very much, very
Mm-hmm.
thank you to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was completely funded. It was both a both a conference and a workshop together. So it was the Codex conference and then the workshop on microphysics and convection,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is right in my work. And then I had also a few conferences within Belgium, basically. So there is the Belgian Geographers Day, which is kind of a big thing, but it's a local conference here in the country, where
Mm-hmm.
you get all the Belgian, like, all the people who are working on climate and all that over from within different universities in Belgium. Then uh, I had I went to another conference in Italy. Sorry, it's a workshop in Italy in Udine. So there's a CHISM workshop, CISM, that was also on microphysics and basically convection. and mostly ice nucleating particles. So
Mm.
like the fundamentals of microphysics basically. I am looking forward to go to the next conference in Hungary. We have
In
already
Hungary.
applied to it in Budapest. It's going to be in March. So yeah, March 31st, 2025. So that is going to be on. That is basically the Accord all staff meeting. So a part of
Mm.
the because I'm also part of the Accord consortium of models. It's the place where all the developers of all these different models, RPAs, Alaro, Aladdin, they meet and talk.
Mm. So
Yeah.
how the funding and all thing is working?
So funding mostly comes from the university, basically because my
Mm.
position is funded by the university.
Mm.
So I can ask funding to the uh, to basically uh, the PhD school.
Mm.
We have funding also for
From
the
the
department.
project in which you are working?
No, because my project does not have a bench fee, so I
Mm.
don't have funding from that, but I get funding because I don't have that. I get funding from the university.
Mm.
So there is a possibility of getting money from the university if you are going, for example, if there's a conference in US or somewhere. So
Mm.
you get that money from the university because my
Mm.
project is a university funded project. And
Mm.
I'm also going for a research stay to Prague, Czechia.
Mm.
Basically because I'm working with the Czech Meteorological CHMI, Czech Hydrometeorological Institute. Yeah, and they're also working on the like they're collaborators, and they're also working on some part of aerosol and cloud interaction within the same microphysics team. So
Mm.
I'm going to do a research stay there maybe next year, sometimes in the summer, because winter is very
Yeah.
difficult to
So
travel. Yeah,
it's really good to hear that you have visited so many countries, but how it was like roaming around and having the some collaboration, working collaboration and all. So how it works? Like it's really good to have the roaming
yeah,
around,
definitely, yeah.
to having the like in the work way, and also you
Yes,
have to
yes.
manage your work in the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely going to different places will give you, these different conferences. The main
Mm,
part, I would say, is, to go to smaller conferences. If you're in your PhD, in your starting of your PhD, I mean, it's good to go to the what is it? American AGU,
mm,
EGU, all these different.
yeah, easy as
But
you, yeah.
but they are huge, they are massive. You have like 10,000,
Mm.
20,000 people, and you get lost with all these different things that is happening. Okay, it's good to go there, like if you like at the end of your PhD where you're showing all your results. Okay,
Mm,
but like if you want to make collaboration, if you want to make network, I would say it's
mm,
better to go to smaller conferences,
conferences.
really conferences that are part of your work, like for example microphysics part.
Mm,
For example, the work conference that I the workshop or conference that I went to in Italy, in Udine, was on microphysics. There were only like I think 60 or 70 people there. So
mm,
get to know these people, like in a very uh, one-on-one way of what
mm,
they're doing, what you can help, like what you can get from them, what
mm.
collaboration you can develop. But when you go to huge conferences, like with like 1,000 people, then you get lost.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
true, true, true.
So I would suggest, like at the starting of your PhD, it's better to go to these small conferences, make as much connection as you can, make as much collaboration as you can. They are going definitely going to help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we are right now we are in the end at the end of our podcast. So the last question is any last tips or suggestion for any aspirant who are still looking for the PhD position in abroad, regardless of any subject. So let's skip the atmospheric science now.
Mhm.
Just regardless of any subject, just give the tips or suggestions.
Yeah, my biggest tip would be, just to research as much about the PI that you want to apply to, because
The very important thing.
that is the most important thing, I would say. you know because your PhD is basically like it's kind of like your child.
Mm,
If like your 4 years, 5 years to it,
mm,
and that is going to be your fundamental pedestal of your career. So having a good PI, having, and also like knowing the PI is very much important. And
Mm,
then also it's also important because then you are writing a very personalized cover letter.
mm,
Because one thing that I have heard from multiple different PIs when they are reading into these like cover letters is that at least I mean now they have found so many students, so many applicants. Just a minute.
mm. Yeah, please.
Yeah, they have found so many applicants who have written the letters feel and like sound like AI generated.
Mm.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Your cover letter
This
is
is the
supposed.
reality of ChatGPT
Yeah. So this is what I have heard from multiple PIs that the applications come, basically uh,
from the ChatGPT.
from ChatGPT, and if you have read multiple or like worked with ChatGPT, which by have now everyone has,
Mm.
you can definitely spot what ChatGPT is writing and
Yes,
what a person can write, and
yes.
and then that gives like a very bad impression,
Impression, yes,
and
yes.
then it is not personalized, okay, because
Yeah.
ChatGPT doesn't know exactly what you want to write.
Mm.
So do some research about the supervisor, read all the like necessary or like related papers that he has written, and just write your motivation letter, which is very much like a personal letter from you to the,
Mm.
yeah, to the PI. That would be the biggest tip.
Okay. Thank you so much, Devashish. It's really nice talking to you, and thank you for taking a time for this podcast. I think I have talked you uh, 1 or 2 months before to
Yeah.
having this to have this time from you. So,
Yes,
but
yes.
really nice to talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, thank you for having me, and yep.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.